Hi guys. I know I'm still in the same outfit. It makes it look like I don't even change outfits. But if you believe that, you're gonna already believe something crazy about me that isn't true. You know? At the end of the day, this is literally the period of my life where I'm supposed to be posting ugly YouTube videos, essentially. That's literally what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Which, you know, there are gonna be people of all types who have all types of opinions about that. And if you care, you care. If you don't care, you don't care. When else in my life am I going to post ugly YouTube videos? I mean, maybe always, probably not though. Because the thing is, like, I'm going to glow up. I'm just in the space before that. Because my life is gonna glow up, and as that happens, I'm literally just gonna whoop right with it, you know? Actual alchemy, actually. But right now is my literal period of time where I can post ugly YouTube videos. I can post a YouTube video wearing the same thing that I was wearing yesterday or the day before, because I don't care. Also, because sometimes the public perception of you has to get worse before it gets better. Why is that? Because depending on how high up you want to go, you have to be willing to like have roots that are deep enough, essentially. Because if I were to never do this, you know, if I were to have never like posted YouTube videos and I just like go immediately where I want to go, the problem is that if I wanted to post a YouTube video where I don't look literally perfect, I would overthink it probably, right? Because I wouldn't already have the experience to be like, oh, of course it's fine to not look perfect right now. Like, of course it's fine to seem a little weird right now. Of course it's fine to seem a little human right now, right? Even if that's weird, even if that's even me doing something you wouldn't do. Because it's too weird, you know? like it's fine. You know? It was funny, I think I've posted like over 70 videos right now. I don't know. Like, it's good, because that's what I like to do. I am getting better at it every time. It's just like I feel like I'm still posting like ugly YouTube videos because I'm not done. I mean, I'm not gonna be done posting, but like I'm not done with my ugly phase. I'm not saying like physically. I don't know, I think I'm cute. I'm just not like putting an effort right now because I'm in that phase where it's not bad to like be uncomfortable and face that. Why? Because where I'm going, I'm just going to be a lot more comfortable, so it would make a lot more sense to capitalize. Not really monetarily. You know, maybe you feel like you have a deeper connection with me when I post videos where I'm just like an unraveled ball of yarn rather than fully wrapped up in the story, you know? I don't know. But yeah. It's my phase of, you know, okay, so if you want to be like a really good painter, maybe you're going to start posting stick figures. And you're gonna see how comfortable you get posting stick figures. If you don't get the logic behind that, that's fine. You're just not ready, but there's nothing wrong, even if you can paint, or even if you don't know how to paint yet, there's nothing wrong with saying you wanna be a painter, you're just gonna start by drawing stick figures and posting them. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Because you know what? In order to be an artist, you have to be very comfortable with your own mistakes. You can't be like, oh, but if I draw a tree and it actually just looks like a stick figure person, but the rest of it is perfect and amazing and like A+ art, right? You can't say you're not gonna post it just because there's one little error. Why? Because it's still your purpose to like do it anyway. You know? If it is, then it is. It doesn't mean that you're going to immediately start and be perfect. Or maybe it does, that's cool and stuff, but like, you know, there's nothing wrong with not being born with certain skills or talents and just growing them while you're here. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's literally being on Earth. You have that opportunity. What are you gonna do with it? Like, yeah, you know, it's all good. It's kind of normal. So I'm in my phase of being like, what would I be uncomfortable with within the next 10 years? Once I do feel like my life has grown up more. You know, like, what is my future self going to need to not be, like, overthinking? I have hot water with, like, frozen peaches in it that are, like, defrosted. In case you're wondering. It's only one tiny frozen peach because I'm out of lemon juice, and lime juice, like, I normally have that in my water, but in order to, like, drink water, I've got to have some type of fruit in it. Otherwise, like, I can't mentally get past the fact that, like, there's technically other ingredients in the water, like microplastics or, like, preservatives. Not really preservatives, but, like, what comes in sink water? Something other than water, right? Like, I feel like mentally I can't get past that if I don't have some type of, like, fruit floating in my water. Even though it probably only adds pesticides or something like that. Even if it's organic, was I there when it grew? No. I was not there when it grew, like, you know? But that's literally a part of the matrix. And I have a water filter that I use, and then I microwave the water, so, like, some stuff is, like, filtered out. I'm just, like, one of those paranoid people and weird people. Not that I'm gonna die from it, but I just mean, like, I'm, like, paranoid, like, I don't want something in my water if I don't even know about it. Or if I can't choose to not have it, I don't want it in my water. Like, it's the choice. Like, if I could choose the microplastics or not the microplastics, like, I might even choose the microplastics. It's just not having the choice or the illusion of choice makes me mad that there could have ever been microplastics. Like, it's weird, right? I'm definitely also in a phase of my life of meditation. Also, if I find a way to be successful while these more, like, awkward videos are still on the internet, that actually gives me, sorry, my throat chakra is imperfect, which is fine. Because I'm existing. I don't know. It's fine. Everybody's not perfect at something. You know? You know? That's why we're literally here to grow as people. We're literally here to grow. Find out some part of yourself you want to grow and just do it. Just say, okay, like, what are the actual, like, realistic steps that I can take to grow as a person in this exact category of my mind and my life? But if you can't decide which category, okay, so here's another thing that I think is actually very real. Like, I mean, I don't care if I'm wrong, because I'm also gonna tell you that I think this is real. So basically, I think it's possible to have an excess of, like, magical energy stored in your brain that you're not using, and I think that that can tip people over the edge. Not that that's the only reason, and not that it's always the reason, but I do think it's possible to have an excess of magical energy. I just call it, like, telekinetic energy, telekinesis energy, I don't know. Not because it's used for that necessarily, and not that that person's going to ever be able to use it for that, but I think the brain can collect that energy through certain types of lived experience, which I have no idea yet what types of lived experience that even could be. I have no idea yet, but what I do know is when people have an excess that's not being used, the mind is trying to like do some, like use that energy for something, but the mind on its own, completely by itself, can't use that energy for anything. So you're going to have, I don't remember if like the Greeks perceived it as a sin to have too many ideas that you're not using. Like I remember reading somewhere something like so that I found so comical at the time, but it just hit perfectly, and I was like, oh, like they get it though. Like, yeah, people would nowadays would be like, how is that possible? How could it be a sin to have so many ideas that you just like didn't use? Like, so what? I went in the notes app of my phone and I wrote like 40,000 ideas that I know I'm never gonna use, and I'm never gonna be able to commit to any of them because I constantly write more and more ideas. But then I realized, like, sometimes when the mind has an excess of like open doors and projects that are currently like weighing on you, I don't mean like a sin, like you're going to like hell or something, like over just having like ideas nobody else has, but you get negative reinforcement from your own mind sometimes when you have an idea that's not like immediately successful. Or when you're trying to like solve an equation in your life, not like a math problem necessarily, but like say you're trying to negotiate something in your own mind, like, okay, how am I gonna get to X, Y, and Z when I'm only at point A or B, you know? Like your mind can like overthink that math equation rather than if you already used up your extra magical energy, you could say. And then your mind comes from like a space of like meditation or like almost like emptiness, I guess, like that mindset where it's like, I already know that I've worked through what I could work through in my own mind, to where I know that I'm gonna make the best decision that I'm capable of making, and if it gets messed up, then it's like I already did what I could do, and that's the best that I can do. So, yeah, I don't know, I do kind of go by the idea that like the Greeks and or Romans also perceived that as a sin. Not that everybody's gonna go that extreme. I'm just a very like extreme person. Like once I commit to anything, I'm like, this is the exact plan, this is what's happening. Whatever happens is just the best I could do with this exact plan. So yeah, not that I'm gonna like not have ideas, that's not the goal. The goal is have an idea, allow it to become a fully formed project, pick out the next idea, just allow that to be a fully formed project. Like divide things up, you know, actually like achieve something. When you have an idea you actually think is good, either delete it or not to be mean to you, but I mean either decide, okay, I'm gonna make this a fully formed plan and execute it exactly the way I want to, or don't even keep the idea, because you need to keep your mind open to like free-flowing ideas, but you also don't want to feel like there's a million strings attached that are like attached and like weighing over your head at the same time, and then your mind is like excessively trying to work out all of these problems that don't even belong to you, you're just deciding that they do. Whereas if you find a way to use that excessive magical energy, your mind's not going to race as much, because your mind has nothing to race towards. Your mind isn't going to race as much because like not like, you know, racism, not like that, but I mean race like, you know, bouncing around all these different ideas, judging yourself for not being able to like do anything, you know? I don't know why I did that. There was like a drop of water there. I just do stuff. But yeah, basically resolving having an excess of magical energy brings you back to the present moment. It also makes it so that your failures seem less bad to you. Not if you're doing something like actually evil, I don't know. Maybe you're probably still gonna have like extreme issues from that, right? Like your karma is still gonna be there. But once you can resolve having an excess of like the mental energy, the magical energy where your mind is, the issue is when you have too much of that energy, your mind blames itself when it can't instantly create something. And then your mind also projects onto other people's success, like thinking you somehow influenced them when you didn't. Maybe you did, but if you don't directly know that you did, it can be an unhealthy pattern and also lead to like excess magical energy to project onto things that you don't even have a reason to believe that you yourself created that outcome. But if you know for sure that you yourself created that outcome, it's actually going to resolve the issue of having excess magical energy because you're like correct in that. So then your brain's like, okay, I understand where this goes. But if you just think you know where it goes and you don't, it's going to give you more excess magical energy. It sounds more complicated than it is. Really, when your brain has all of that extra energy and has nowhere for it to go, you can drive yourself crazy. You can think you're better than everybody because you have 50,000 ideas a minute, but none of them ever go anywhere or amount to anything, and you're also not actually fixing any part of yourself when you do that. But then, because you know you have that excess magical energy that you never used, you're gonna blame yourself for every part of yourself that you didn't fix. You're gonna blame yourself for every like natural failure that would have happened anyway because you're still convinced, because you didn't exhaust every option that you have. You're still going to be convinced that there's some reason why it's like your fault that things went wrong, whereas if you use all of that excess magical energy, you are going to be able to like say, I understand that every option that I have, like I understand that every basket I could have put an egg in, I already put an egg in. So now, if I win the raffle, it's because I put the egg in the right basket, and that's fine because it's not even because of me at that point. Like, yeah, I chose that, but I also put an egg in like almost every basket. But if the one basket I didn't put an egg in is the one that's chosen, I know it's not my fault because I used every egg that I had. You know? When you, sorry, I'm out of breath from just talking like a cartoon character as much as possible. As fast as possible. The mind is really good at equations. The mind itself is really good at working things out, but the number one thing the mind wants to do is find failure or fault. And if you don't know where all of your magical energy is going and it's stored up here in the cranium, right? You're gonna try to like project all of that onto yourself when the universe itself or Earth itself or coincidence itself didn't choose you that time, right? You don't want it to be like self-hatred as where you go to, or why do I have so many ideas but none of them matter? Like, you don't want to go there. You would rather say, there was one single idea I had, I used it, it didn't go anywhere, that's fine. Rather than saying, but I had 50,000 ideas and I put like 1 grain of sand of effort towards all of them and nothing happened. Like, nobody wants to be there because then you're in a prison of your own mind. And again, like all of your magical energy is just like swirling around, but like kind of in like a way that clouds your understanding that it's not your fault that things didn't go well. But if you feel like it's true because it's real, but it's also like your perception of the truth. Because you don't want to blame yourself, but also it sort of like removes the excess. When you have the intention of putting it towards something and then you complete the action that you intended to use the energy for. So you don't want to have only one massive project. Okay, so at the same time, it sounds weird. Okay? So the way that you can remove that is very similar to the way that it piles up within your own mind. It's just getting it out of your mind onto something else. So have one tiny project that you can create today that is not meant to ever be seen by anybody, but with the intention of removing whatever excess magical energy you have in your mind today so that you're not going to keep it stored up. you know, like a small project that you can like hold in your hand, whatever it is. Just say all of that excess energy is going onto here. Nobody's ever gonna see it, but it's with the intention of growing myself a little bit. Intentionally not driving yourself crazy is worth investing in. Intentionally not letting life drive you crazy by just doing something different. I'm not saying the default is that you get driven crazy, but I'm saying if you have a mind that's always racing, it's because you didn't have one small project that required your attention that you were able to put enough energy into today. And that's okay. It's okay. But maybe tomorrow you will, you know? And I guess like the importance of not having it be perceived by anybody is that you can really let loose and find yourself more when it's not about anybody. And you can find out, how do you feel about creating something that nobody's ever gonna see? Do you value that? Do you not value that? Like, everyone's so different. Knowing that about yourself is so valuable because we live in a world that's so fast-paced where it's like everybody's tiny 5-second projects are everywhere. And they're still locked up in their own mind. Because at the same time, if you're doing it for other people's perception, it's not gonna remove enough of that energy from you. That's my perception. You could totally be different, but if I were trying to do this for the first time, I would just make a list of like small handheld projects that you can create that take up a lot of your mental energy and also have a very temporary level of importance to where they're going to matter to you a lot today, but tomorrow they're going to be basically like trash to you, right? But it's going to take up your energy and your time. It sounds like you're wasting your time and your energy, but you're giving yourself the ability to say, I know that I already sort of exhausted all of my options because I know that like I'm putting my energy towards something that in the moment matters to me. And then when I'm ready to like do my big project, I know that it's not going to have the level of importance to me that all of these small projects had because they didn't matter to me. So I'm using up, you want to fully use up within yourself that feeling of like, you know, I had a project but it didn't matter. You want to have already experienced that in excess. Like, not, I started a project but I don't know where it could have gone. You want to never say, I started a project but I don't know where it could have gone. But you want to always say, I exhausted my options in a way that I feel like was so appropriate that I'm not going to blame myself if this doesn't work out or happen. You know, you also want to be able to say, like, I put my time towards something that mattered to me today. Even if it doesn't matter to me in the future, I know that that's perfectly fine. You also want to be able to sort of say, like, I know that I already am used to the feeling that I worked really hard on something and it never mattered to anybody, it never amounted to anything. Like, it's like that analogy with like the faucet with the dirty water, or like the wine glass that they pour water into until it comes out clean and it's pure at the end, right? Because most projects anybody creates in their life are never going to actually amount to anything. But if you're gonna let that get to you, you're never gonna get anywhere. But you also don't want to feel like you only took 5 seconds like to work on something, or it never mattered to you, and then that's the one that's successful, because then you're also going to use that as like negative reinforcement that like when you care about something it doesn't matter. So you want to intentionally choose the type of reinforcement you want your mind to be like set up to receive before you even receive it, if you can. Otherwise that mental energy can build up and you can use it to like torture yourself in some type of way mentally, not meaning to. That's my perspective on this. Yours may be different. I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was something you maybe haven't heard ever or in a while or something like that. See you later.